So if you've been following me for a while, you probably noticed that my old studio was in the Chicago suburbs. Well, guess what? We're not in Kansas anymore. A few weeks ago, with the help of my husband and my friend Steve, I moved all of my gear into my new studio, which is in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood. And then the following day, my friend James and I set everything up over the course of 10 hours. And we had to try some things out, and not everything worked, but I think we got things pretty much set. So welcome everyone to my new studio. As you come through the door, on your right now, or on your left if you're coming through this door, is this equipment storage rack. And you probably just saw in the time-lapse video that I tried putting it in a different place in the room, but this is where it ended up. So on this rack, I have different cases for my gear. I've got all my Apple boxes and several props, and I've also got this crate which holds all the stuff that I think I will need in the middle of a shoot. Everything from grid reflectors to a magic arm to a couple of A-clamps and grids and gels and gaffer tape and all of that stuff. Originally, I thought there was going to be a makeup station here, and I thought that this rack was going to go on the other side. But what I figured out pretty quickly was that the makeup station was going to interfere with the traffic flow in the room, and it was going to be in the way. So I decided that I would put the makeup station over on this side of the room. And if you look over here, we've got the makeup station. It's on wheels, so I can move it to different parts of the studio if need be. I've also got this mini refrigerator down here, and this mini fridge was something that I didn't know that I was going to acquire until after I moved in the space. There is a communal kitchen down the hallway, but I figured it would be much better for me to have control over the cream for my coffee and the cold drinks from my clients, full control. And these little refrigerators are only about $100 to $150, so it wasn't a big expense, and it probably will be a lot more convenient. I also picked up this Hollywood vanity mirror, as it's called, on Amazon, and that's there so that clients can do their own makeup if they would like to. It also can give you daylight balanced light or tungsten balanced LEDs, and you can dim it as well. Now, one of the more important things in the space are these two green chairs over here, and I selected them so that I could use them in videos. So they could be either solo in my own YouTube videos, or they could be on an interview set when I'm doing client videos. So we could do a two-person interview, or maybe we could just interview two people that were seated together, and actually have something like that scheduled within the next few weeks, so they'll be put to good use. Also, this particular location is the place where someone could sit and see the entire room. So I think it'll be a great place for clients to relax. So over in this area is where I keep my paper backdrops, and I have a impact auto pull system with a rack up there that allows me to get the backdrops up and down rather quickly just by pulling on a cable. I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse at the moment because I got the plastic cables, and they've snapped on me a couple times. I kind of wish I got the metal ones, but you know, that's life. I guess we'll see if it works out over time. The other thing you probably noticed is that there's a lot of natural light streaming into the room. The studio faces west, so in the afternoon all of this sunlight comes in, which may be a little bit of a challenge for this video, but it should be good to incorporate it into my work from time to time. On this rack back here, I have a black, a gray, and a white paper backdrop. And one of the good things that I do like about these racks is that I can change my backdrops rather quickly, all by myself, and that way I'll be able to give clients more variety more quickly. And one thing I've learned is if you give them more choices, they tend to end up purchasing additional retouched images. So just keep that in mind in general. But of course, it is a really good thing for convenience. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this space is that there is carpeting, and it's not ideal. It's not something that I would have chose, but out of all the options that I had, this studio was the best for other reasons, and I sort of figured out that I could live with the carpeting. So you can see behind me back here that I've got my V-flats, and I've also got some 4x8 sheets of flooring, and then behind it some other foam boards. Now, one good thing about those 4x8 foot sheets of flooring is that they can serve multiple purposes. So you've probably seen me use them as set dressing, or basically the floor in some of my shots, so they're good for that. A few weeks ago I was doing a hair shoot, and I used them to go under the hair and makeup station so that when they cut the hair, it didn't end up going onto the carpet. Sort of, a lot of it, some of it did, but a lot of it ended up on the board, and then I could easily vacuum it up. The other thing that they're really good for is that I can put them down, smooth side up, the back side if you will, and then I can pull out the paper backdrops and put them over that flooring. And that way when someone stands on the paper backdrops, I don't have divots in it from the carpet where they're sinking in. So that works out really well. Now over here in the middle, between the paper set and the other set that we're about to get to, is this desk and this old office chair. And you've probably seen these in shots before as props. I didn't think that I wanted to keep this item. I thought that I was going to give it away or throw it out. But when I did my first big commercial shoot, it turned out that I needed every surface in the entire room to put stuff on, props and hair and makeup stations and that sort of thing. You might have noticed that I have some collapsible tables over by that equipment rack by the front door. So I decided that I would keep this table over here. That way I could use it on those shoots, and it's also sort of convenient because I can put my camera bag there, it's not in the way, and of course I can still continue to use it as a prop. And right next to that is my Studio Titan camera stand. I also have my Binro geared head, and that's great for getting accurate compositions and sort of dialing things in a really fine-tuned sort of way. And that way, combined with the electronic level in the camera, I don't have to worry about my shots being crooked and then needing to go in and correct that in post. I can just batch crop and move on. And speaking of moving on, let's move on to this end of the studio. And this is where I've got my painted backdrops. I also have another impact pulley system there as well. And on there I've got a green, gray, and then I've got a double-sided backdrop that is brown on one side and ultramarine on the other. And as you can see, I also have my Studio Titan crank stand back here, and that's a great thing to have in the studio because you're able to move your boom arm with a counterweight attached like I've got now, that ELB 500 pack back there. You're able to use the crank to move that up and down, and you don't have to worry about pinching a nerve in your shoulder by trying to struggle and press it over your head. So I'm really glad that Studio Titan sent that stand over. So you also can see a door back there, and that goes to a closet, and that's where I keep the gear that I don't use all of the time and I don't need quick access to, but it's good to have it around just in case. And as you can see down here, I've got these two brown wooden cubes, and those are things that I made for the studio. I had no idea when I rented the space that I was going to end up needing them. Now you probably saw in that time-lapse video that James and I stacked all of those backdrops up in this corner over here. In fact, James is holding the camera right now, so thank you for all of your hard work setting things up, and also thank you for your help today. But I realized rather quickly that if the backdrops were there, they were going to impede my ability to use that as a background for my YouTube set and also for photos with clients. So I needed to put them somewhere else. Also, I ended up not having as much room in the closet as I thought, and I couldn't put all of my modifiers in there. And so I didn't want to end up having a garbage can full of modifiers like I had at my last place. So then I knew that I needed to build something. And so I went to the hardware store and I picked up, I believe, 10 2x2 foot sheets of plywood. And then I ended up having to trim down about 5 of them just a little with a circular saw in order to get them to fit really nicely into sort of a cube shape. And then I screwed it all together. I added some casters at the bottom that also locked, and I stained the boxes as well. And the background boxes open on the side to facilitate moving the backdrops in and out. That's why it's only a 4-sided box. And then over in this section, I've got my styling area, and it's where I have a dressing room. I also have a clothing rack, a steamer, a table, and a full-length mirror. I'm also storing my ladders there, which you've probably seen a lot of in the past. And in the future, I'm sure that you're going to see a lot more of this space too. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.